ESP here, and welcome to another card breakdown. Today we'll be looking at the Rampaging Tarasque. Quick mythology lesson. A Tarasque is a dragon-esque creature in French legends, and was the offspring of the Leviathan. Moving right along, the Rampaging Tarasque is a ruby PvP troop card, with a 5 cost, 5 ruby threshold. Wait, 5? 1, 2, 3, oh, okay, fine. Hold that thought. 5 ruby threshold, 8 attack, 1 defense, with both the crush and speed keywords. Capable of utter devastation indeed. The crush keyword makes any damage dealt by the Tarasque which exceeds a blocker or blocker's defense values hit your opponent's health total, and the speed keyword lets the Tarasque hit the ground running, allowing it to attack on the turn it's played. With an 8 attack that can come out of nowhere for 5 resources, the Tarasque is what's referred to as a kill card or kill switch in TCGs, a single card that ends games. If your opponent doesn't have an immediate answer to this troop, they would likely have to throw 2 or more troops in the way of the Tarasque to survive, giving you a card advantage. And if they don't have any troops on the board, well, allowing the Tarasque to survive an additional round is game over. This brings us to an important concept known as baiting. Baiting is when you play something with a moderate to low threat in an attempt to run your opponent out of options when your main threat is played. Cards like Ragefire will usually leave you with enough late-game resources to play something like the Tarasque, while still being dangerous enough to possibly draw out counter magics. Since the Tarasque can be nullified by a few quick actions, it's important to consider playing it when you can be reasonably certain it will get through. It's definitely heartbreaking to play a card like the Tarasque, thinking you're moving in for the kill, when suddenly an atrophy turns your play into an advantageous 2-for-1 for your opponent. Waiting until they're out of resources or cards is normally much better than making the Tarasque the first card out of your hand in a turn, unless you know your opponent's deck doesn't have any current answers. Now, let's get back to that threshold. With the lack of threshold fixers available and the whopping 5 ruby threshold required, this would really only be viable in a mono ruby constructed deck, but if played smartly, can be a game ender. In draft, attempting to force yourself into mono ruby puts you at the mercy of chance. As such, it's better to skip this card unless you're already drafting mostly ruby cards and the Tarasque just so happens to come up late. Looking at PvE, the weapon's existence is contentious, as it does not appear in all the card databases. However, assuming it's real, being able to basically remove your opponent's best blocker or troop threat makes the Tarasque very dangerous, and ups its chance to close out games. The cost on the armor looks staggering, but remember, rush decks that would use the Tarasque are about getting a very early health lead, so this effect would likely be an attractive option more often than not. There will definitely be times you can't use this, so while the armor would be a piece you equip early, by the time you get a rare or legendary drop, you'll want to replace this with a less potentially detrimental effect. In raids though, if there are cleric healing talents that would allow you to receive healing from a teammate, this armor becomes raid viable, as hitting the boss over and over again would do some serious Van damage. Ha! Get it? Because a Tarasque is French, and Jean-Claude Van Damme speaks forget it. The trinket will definitely be scenario specific, as not every encounter will have effects that target your Tarasque. As such, if you do run this troop, keep the trinket on hand, and whip it out after a humiliating defeat to show that AI who's boss. Thank you for watching. If you agree or disagree, I'd love to read your comments below or at Utopian Chaos. If you like the video, please take the time to subscribe. Hope to see you in Hex for some good games and good times.